Hey there, so recently I discovered that you can actually add background videos using GenerateBlocks. It does take a few extra steps in pasting in some HTML and CSS, but the documentation from GenerateBlocks is super easy. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to follow it and we'll get started. Alright, so on my demo site here, I've got my homepage hero section, and what I want to do is replace this background image and gradient with a background video. So I've gone ahead and already gotten a background stock video from Envato Elements, and we're going to start by going into edit the page. Now once again, I'm following the documentation from GenerateBlocks on how to add a background video. I'll go ahead and include this link in the description so you can also refer to it as you follow along. So the first step in this process is once you add a container block, right? So I've got an existing container block. We'll open up my panel. So I've got an outer container block here. And inside that container block, you want to add a custom HTML block. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all the HTML code that they provide and a HTML block and paste that in. So of course it's kind of getting covered up here because I got a background gradient on top. And so what I was going to say was you want to make sure to insert the HTML not in the inner container if you have one, but just in the outer container itself. So I'm going to move this up above so that it comes in first. All right, so next we need to go ahead and replace the content, the URLs in this HTML. So first, we have the poster image. So I'm going to go ahead, jump into my media library, and just choose the image that I had in here prior as sort of the poster image. And what this does is this image will show as the video is loading instead of it being a blank background. All right, and then as you can see here in the HTML that GenerateBlocks provides, they give you 3 different sources. And each of them, as you see, are different file types, an MP4, a WebM, and an OGV. My video that I am using is a MP4. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that URL and place it in the source code here. And I'll remove the others because you only need one of those URLs. All right, and when we jump over to our documentation again, we need to double check our container, the parent container settings, to make sure it follows their directions. So we want to set the parent container to display flex, to direction to column, and justify content to center, as well as put the Z index to 1 and make sure we have a height set on there that suits our video that we're inputting. So we're going to add that outer container. We're going to change it to flex, column, justify content center, and make sure we put 1 for the Z index. Then if we come on down, I already have a min height of 800 pixels on my parent container, so we're going to go ahead and just leave that as is. So next we can go back to our documentation, and now it does say that we need to put a CSS class on the inner child container, background video content. And keep in mind, this is only required if you want to overlay text on top of your background video. In this case, I do want to. So we're going to come on down to advanced in my child container and input that CSS class. And then it also does mention to make sure you set that child container's block Z index to 2. So we're going to come up to the top while we're still in here and change that child container to 2. Now I am going to come back to my parent container and I'm going to remove the background image as well as the gradient that I had in place. And so now there's just a fallback background color. I do recommend you put that in place for proper contrast on your text if that video or poster doesn't happen to load. All right, so let's go ahead and save our page and come back to our site and refresh. All right, so we have some changes. We could see there is my stock video. However, my text block the child container is put all the way at the bottom, not overlaid on top. That's because we have one more crucial step to this, and that's adding this quick little CSS that GenerateBlocks provides us. So we're going to jump into our site, go into the customizer, additional CSS, and go ahead and paste that in. And there you see the magic happen. So this positions the video and text aligned with each other on top. And what you can do is adjust the opacity. So depending on your video and your text to maintain proper contrast, you can always lower this opacity a bit more or even greater if you have a dark video. Now we can go ahead and hit publish and leave the customizer, and there you have it. Now we have a background video in our homepage hero section. Now I wanted to take a moment to mention a really important factor when it comes to inserting background video, and that's taking into consideration web accessibility. There are very specific rules in allowing users to pause and play the content if they do not prefer it. If we do come back to our HTML code within our hero section, we can add a single word here that will help, and that's by putting in controls. You could put it after plays in line, so that way when the user hovers on the video, they will have controls appear at the bottom. Now, of course, that's not the most cleanest solution, but I just want to point that out to make sure that you are considering accessibility when you're inputting background video into your website. All right, I hope you enjoyed this quick walkthrough of how to add background video using GenerateBlocks. As I mentioned, it's not quite intuitive as it may look, but with just really some HTML, a little bit of CSS, and a couple of tweaks on your container, it's actually really simple. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you again soon.